Party to be something more than the Washington Generals to the Republicans Globetrotters. That really is a completely perfect, it's such a great analogy, and then just like the two capabilities of the two sides there, like it's completely aptly described. But it's also true that at the end of the day, they go ahead and they just laugh. Just like we're all playing our parts in the big role here, which is to preserve the system, to preserve things exactly how they are. And anybody from both sides that tries to upset that, tries to rock the boat, tries to get in the way of us playing our roles and doing what we're supposed to do, like that is really what must be stopped. And that is why this pitch perfect stimulus check fight is so illustrative of just the just horrific nature of Washington, and something that we're really going to continue to see in the near future. This is Newsflash on the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Join us for the Georgia election special Tuesday night. We're wrapping up today's show by a great kind of team piece from Discourse blog suggesting things that should be left behind in 2020. And as we go into 2021, leave these things behind in 2020. And we start with people with vacation homes. And yeah, this is something that like has been a big problem, especially now. I've seen it a lot over the holiday season. That's been a big thing, and over the summer as well. People going and really just being completely ridiculous when there is a massive like eviction, a lot of insecurity over eviction, and a lot of over just people losing their homes, people not being able to pay their rent, and homelessness really being on the rise, and economic conditions being on the rise. So yeah, just people who are just flaunting their. And you see it, a really just toxic place for this is TikTok. 12 million right now, as like literally 12 million Americans will owe an average of more than $5,000 in unpaid rent and utilities by January. I mean, it's really just the systemic inequalities that allow for some people to own multiple homes. Again, written here by Alexander Chan, really correctly so. While so many have no roof over their heads, it's just completely wrong. It's a completely just wrong system that like this, the government here, and something that you can so easily do as well is help these people out. It's something that every other country has been able to do, every other developed country has been able to do very, very successfully. Like if you can't help these people out here, like what is the point? And if it means taking away from people who are lucky enough to have 2 homes to go to during a pandemic, then that is a good thing. That is something that should be happening. Like that is and it's something that just right now our government refuses to do. And by the way, stay off social media, everybody who may be, and again, I count myself very lucky among those people, and I certainly am not a social media poster about it. That is for sure. Yeah, no tweets about that. Spare other people, and maybe actually try and make a difference in your community. That's a goal that I'm setting for 2021. Do a little bit more than I can for other people. Meanwhile, the Trump cabinet, this is another one here from Paul Blessed. For 4 years, the leadership of the federal government has been the largest collection of repulsive hogs hungry for money and power this side of Davos. From William Barr ordering federal troops into cities to crush racial justice protests, to Scott Pruitt and his cartoonishly bad grifting when he wasn't handing over the keys to the EPA, to Mike Pompeo fighting his Christian holy war from his top perch at the State Department, John Kelly, Christian Nielsen, like the 2 immigration border ghouls, Steve Mnuchin, the cartoon Monopoly Man, Alex Azar of HHS, Wilbur Ross, Betsy DeVos, Jeff Sessions. The list goes on and on. What a cast of characters those people were. Yeah, really, it'd be great to see them all gone from the political sphere in 2021. Interesting one here from Rafi Schwartz. Self-canceled journalists. It must be a tough time being a murky journalist these days. Why else would so many big-name writers be jumping ship? Often to the newsletter bandwagon when the digital media landscape is already such a salted earth wasteland to begin with. golly gee whiz, I bet it's great to know that you can get by on a meager $400K after voluntarily leaving your $500,000 a year salary because someone had the audacity to suggest that you may need some edits on your latest blog. Huh, Glenn? Great shot there at Glenn Greenwald, who was taking some shots that personally I disagreed with on The Intercept. I don't know if we ever talked about that on the show, but yeah, there is definitely something to be said for just cancellation, and see, I think it's really a case-by-case scenario, but some people, like Barry Weiss, really, really something. If this is cancel culture, if these people are spending less and less time in the public sphere, people like Barry Weiss, people like Andrew Sullivan, and yeah, I mean, even people like Glenn Greenwald. I mean, The Intercept is doing a great job, and I think he's a great journalist. But if he can't coexist, if The Intercept isn't open enough for him, I mean, I'm sorry. He's trying to paint them as Joe Biden lovers. I don't buy that. From the Texan Discourse blog, Sam Grasso submitting, my brain, like many people's brains, has been scrambled by the trauma of 2020. So here's a loosely chronological list of some of the ways that Texas's well-to-do elected officials has launched us to near victory as the state with the second highest number of COVID cases and deaths. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick offered up the lives of Texas grandparents in exchange for a prosperous economy. Then Governor Greg Abbott opened the state far too early and without giving Texas the resources to stem the virus from spreading. And he and a bunch of other Texas shitheads like Representatives Chip Roy and Dan Crenshaw rallied to release a North Texas hairdresser from jail for operating during the shutdown, only to leave thousands of other people vulnerable to COVID in jails and other things like that. Early on, and Abbott banned cities from enforcing their own mask ordinances and resisted imposing a statewide mask requirement as cases spiked, finally only acting after it was too late. Shout out to other people like Kristi Noem on that up there in South Dakota. Abbott has insisted that Texas won't be going into a second lockdown as Senator Ted Cruz owes the libs, or more so other people dying in El Paso, by pledging his allegiance to Thanksgiving and Christmas over the lives of other Texans. So yeah, Texas politicians continuing to have a banner year, and hopefully a lot of less of them, at least directly affecting people's livelihoods and lives in 2021. So yeah, he has the great come and take it with a turkey and a star like it's a battle flag about Thanksgiving. Just Jesus Christ. Here's another great one. The Lincoln Project from Catherine Kruger talking about this. I would love nothing more than to say we're leaving these Republicans in Democrats' clothing in 2020, but I don't like to be naive. The Lincoln Project was the perfect political project to thrive in the political and general misery of the past year, logging nearly $60 million in fundraising since launching by bilking mostly Democratic voting small dollar donors while also catering to the billionaire set. What could bring Republicans, billionaires, and Democrats with enough money to donate to a super PAC together? Desperation for a more polite, offline president who respects norms and the rule of law. Their singular stated aim was defeating Trump, who, when you look at his record, championed a lot of policies that conservative Republicans strongly support for the purpose of being let in from the cold in favor of the next administration. Boy, has it worked, and a lot of people were made rich in the process. Here's another good one. George W. Bush. The years-long trend of adoration for this brain-dead war criminal reached a nauseating peak in 2020 as his supposed decency was contrasted multiple times throughout the year with Trump's wickedness. This should not continue. Trump, the truth is here, there is absolutely nothing decent about war criminal, torturer, mass murderer George W. Bush, and his rehabilitation mostly shows that Americans are willing to forgive you as long as you mostly shut up and keep most of your torture and slaughter regime confined to the foreign shores. With Trump out of the way, surely it is time for this Bush myth to finally die. Those are some of the things that we got to quit coming in to 2020. Close of the show. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back Tuesday for the Georgia runoffs.